1045 The Team, your home for New York sports. We need a hockey insider. And when you need a hockey insider, you got to go to Puck Daddy himself, the NHL insider for Yahoo Sports, Greg Wyshynski. Greg, this series so far, Pittsburgh been able to blow this thing wide open, 3-1 lead over the Sharks. Is this thing over?
No, I don't necessarily think it is. I mean, the thing about the Sharks is that they've kept this thing close. I mean, I think it's like 210 minutes of the 254 minutes that they've played in this series have been within one goal or tied. So, I mean, the games have been pretty close. And they seem to believe that if they can get out to a lead in this game, if they can score the first goal, that they're going to be able to kind of exert their will on this in a way that they haven't before. So, surprisingly confident bunch, and I think it's because the games have been that tight.
But Greg, when you look at the history of the Stanley Cups, it's like if you take you take the first two games, you almost always win. You get the 3-1 lead, you almost always win. This Sharks team is so good it could rewrite history?
Oh, I didn't say they were going to win the freaking Cup. They could win Game 5.
Well,
but I mean, 31 out of 32 teams that have had a 3-1 lead since 1939 have gone on to win the Cup. So it's an extraordinarily tall order for them to actually rally and win the championship. But it's completely feasible that they could send this thing back to San Jose, especially when you consider that the Penguins have never won the Cup on home ice. There's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of kind of parade planning that goes on when you come home with a very comfortable series lead and having dominated the way that they have. So it's completely possible that when you have one team looking to skate the Cup and the other team looking to survive, that's going to be enough to keep this thing going for another game.
Now, Puck Daddy, and I feel a little odd calling you that.
You love it. You love it.
I know this can't happen, but if we could vote, could I give my vote to the Stanley Cup MVP to the Penguins coach Mike Sullivan? The guy took over midseason, has gotten them this far, which can't go any further. What can this guy have done differently to make this team improve so dramatically? What did he do?
He recognized the way they wanted to play. I mean, part of the whole thing with them and their turnaround is the fact that the previous coach, Mike Johnston, was a guy who was trying to get them to play more of a defensive style, right? That's what he was tasked with doing because allegedly that was going to be the thing that got them to win and go farther in the postseason. But that really wasn't the case. So Sullivan comes in, they start playing this more offensive, up-tempo style, but as much as people want to give him credit for that style and for getting this team to play as well as they have, I think a lot of credit has to go to their GM, Jim Rutherford, too, because he's the guy who made the Kessel trade. He's the guy who brought in Nick Bonino from Vancouver. He's the guy that brought in Carl Hagelin during the season. They had all these fast young rookies they brought up from the AHL. Like, there's a perfect storm of coaching change and personnel influx that I think has really propelled this Penguins team to where they are right now.
1045 The Team. We're talking to Greg Wyshynski from Yahoo Sports, a.k.a. Puck Daddy. That's the blog title. When you look at this situation, we talk about the coach, the GM. Who's more valuable, those guys or rookie goalie Matt Murray and what he's been able to do?
Well, I mean, the coach and the GM have been pretty darn valuable, but when it comes to the Conn Smythe, I think it's an interesting debate because the two guys that are getting the most buzz here are Phil Kessel and Matt Murray. And I feel like if Kessel gets it, it's going to be the 18 writers all wanting to write the really interesting story. I mean, the idea of a guy being a schlubby, quote-unquote, bad teammate in Toronto and then going to Pittsburgh and being playoff MVP is an undeniably great story. But, I mean, from a play standpoint, it's hard for me to look at Murray and say he's not the MVP. I mean, rookie goalie comes in, saves their bacon in the first round, outplays Henrik Lundqvist, outplays Braden Holtby of the Capitals. And I feel like there's a little recency bias because the Penguins as a team have been so good in the final that defensively that maybe people aren't appreciating how good Murray had to be in the previous rounds. But I still think that when you're a kid goalie who's 5-0 after losses in the postseason, that's the stuff of being an MVP.
Now, let me ask you something. It's sort of a fill-in-the-blank question. Fill the blank in. The Sharks can come back and win this series if they blank.
Score. I don't think they can come back and win the series,
Right, okay.
but I think they can. They can maybe push it to a 6 or even a 7. But they've got to score the first goal. I think that's one of the real keys here. They've not played with a lead yet. They need to have some basis of of inspiration or hope that they can rally in this thing and get the first goal in Game 5 would be it. And the other thing, too, is they've got to kind of regain their offensive confidence. The Penguins are very much in their heads right now with the way they've been blocking shots. And when you're questioning whether to pull the trigger on a shot, it becomes almost impossible to find any kind of offensive flow. So I think that's the other thing too, is they get the first goal and then start playing with a little bit more of the offensive aggression that they've shown in previous rounds.
Editor of the Puck Daddy blog over at Yahoo Sports, the NHL insider, Greg Wyshynski, with us here, Levack and Wolf, 104.5, the team. So pretty much a win right now for the Sharks is just making this thing interesting. Like, is the best they can do maybe is get to a Game 7?
I think so. I mean, and even then, like, you never know what goes on in a Game 7, but like, you're playing the percentages right now, and the percentages kind of tell you that there's not a lot of hope that they can come back and win the cup. But then again, I mean, the percentages said that the Los Angeles Kings weren't going to rally from a 3-0 deficit to beat the Sharks a couple of years ago too. And it's kind of funny that the Sharks kind of have to latch on to one of the saddest, most depressing moments in franchise history to kind of like build their own case. But I mean, that's been brought up, is the fact that there have been some strange things that have happened in the postseason and have happened recently, and who knows if we're due for another one of these things after the last one came in like 1942.
Puck Daddy, you are the NHL insider for Yahoo Sports. You must, in all of the times you've covered hockey, have a really funny, great story of something you saw happen during a game. Can you share that with us?
During a game?
Yeah, during a game.
Well, I was thinking about the cup races that I've covered and being on the ice and seeing how these guys react, and it's always interesting. Like there's stuff that the cameras never really pick up. Like I'll never forget, like Patrick Kane, the first time he won the cup, all of his little townie friends from Buffalo were all surrounding him and stuff on the ice, and little moments like that. But my favorite thing is the interaction between the players and the fans sometimes during these cup raising things, when I've seen players literally shake up bottles of champagne and spray the fans from the ice with it after cup victories, and it's like that kind of stuff is what I most look forward to when we get to this point in the season, and you might actually get to see the thing race tonight. Greg,
you are your home for New York sports, so I have to pepper this in here. Will the Rangers get back into the hunt for the cup, or is it about to be the Islanders' time as far as New York hockey goes?
Well, the Islanders are going to have to figure out some stuff. I don't think Okposo is going to be back. There's a fun little bit of speculation going around that there might be a chance they might be in on Steven Stamkos as a free agent.
Ooh.
Only because he's tight with John Tavares and because there's kind of pressure to fill that building and also keep your superstar happy. But they're building towards something there. With the Rangers, it is a pretty steep hill to climb. I mean, you still feel like there's a window of opportunity to win with Lundqvist, but it's clear that outside of maybe McDonough and a couple of the younger players, everything's going to be on the table this summer as far as trying to aggressively improve that team. There's some real deficiencies right now in that lineup, and there's some real bad contracts on that team, especially in the case of Dan Girardi, that they're going to have to try to figure out.
Greg, really great to talk to you. I have one last fluff question for you. What NHL player has the fewest teeth?
Fewest? Well, I mean, it's tough because some of them have gotten it fixed. Like that, at one point, Duncan Keith had like a puck in his mouth and all of his teeth disintegrated, and then he got them fixed. I'd say just based on this series that Brent Burns would probably have to be up there. He's only got like a chicklet or two, up top. And, like the whole time he's talking, I'm thinking to myself, I know this man has a family, and I couldn't imagine, having to kiss that. You know what I mean? It's like it's a little off-putting, but he's a good-looking dude, so maybe there's some compensation there.
Can you imagine the kids arguing that? No, I'm not going to brush my teteeth. Daddy doesn't have any teeth. He's a millionaire. Leave me alone.
My 6-year-old lost like all of her front teeth in the last couple of weeks, and she's been like sending me pictures, and I'm just saying to myself, if she was a hockey player, she'd have so much cachet right now. Like she'd be just a beast in the room right now.
Greg Wyshynski, he is the NHL insider for Yahoo Sports. Nice enough to make some time for us. Also, the editor of the Puck Daddy blog, so we lovingly call him Puck Daddy. Thanks for your time, Greg, and hopefully you get to see that cup hoisted sooner than later, so you can get back to that little girl who's missing her teeth.
Awesome. Thanks, boys.
Thanks, guys.